अब हम बात करेंगे बेरूत में यूएन रेजिडेंट एंड ह्यूमैनिटेरियन कोऑर्डिनेटर इमरान रज़ा साहब से. Imran Raza Saab, thank you very much for giving us time. First of all, tell us the challenges UN is facing in Lebanon and about your efforts to meet the challenges.
I mean, generally from a humanitarian perspective, there are basically, I would say, three broad challenges. The first one is basically to try to have a respect for international humanitarian law. I mean, what we have seen, both in 2024 and in this recent exchange of hostilities, this recent crisis that's been going on, are great violations. Civilian infrastructure is being hit. There are a lot of warnings to people, and sometimes there are not warnings, what we call displacement orders. So you've had a lot of strikes that have affected civilians in a huge way, and that's why you have such a big displacement that's happened in 24 and now. So one is just respect and trying to have a protection of civilians in what has been happening. A second aspect of it is some people are in areas that are very difficult to reach, where there are very active hostilities happening and where you have Israeli military presence as well. So we're trying to get to areas behind that where people are still remaining. There used to be this area south of the Litani, used to have about 850,000 people there. At the moment, at most, there are probably about 150,000. Of those, about 30,000 are behind this Israeli self-declared military line, this zone. So we try to move there. So it's access, trying to get access to that. That has been quite difficult, but we're managing. We're getting there. And then the other, I mean, in order to do any of this, in order to assist any people, and in order to also help the government, because the government is in quite a good leadership coordinating role in terms of the response, you need resources. And the resources that we're getting right now are far, far less than what we received in 2024. Generally, I mean, the multitude of crises you have in other places around the world, and the complications of this region. We used to, in 2024, we had an air bridge, for example, with Dubai, with Qatar, with many of the Gulf states. The Saudis were sending. Now it's not the same. It's not this, given what the impact of this whole crisis.
So the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu made it very clear that he is not ready to withdraw his forces from the southern Lebanon. So it is the clear violation of the international law. So what the UN can do in this very difficult and complicated situation?
I mean, as you know, there are a whole set of discussions happening. There's what's happening, of course, that was centered very much in terms of what was happening in Islamabad. There are other discussions that are happening in Washington. We are not directly involved in this, the UN, in this. And what I'm concerned with right now is, of course, the humanitarian impact and what's happening. What has happened over this whole period, and I think you have been seeing it because I know that you've been interviewing a lot of people that have been affected by this, is the confusion, the uncertainty, people not knowing what does a ceasefire mean. We have had ceasefires declared a number of times. People have moved. Just last week, on Wednesday and Thursday, you had thousands of people that started moving back from their shelters. I was at a shelter last Friday in Saida. And on Friday, the people that had left on Wednesday and Thursday were coming back. They were returning.
Because of the Israeli bombing?
Because of the strikes that were happening, because of and they had gone because they thought ceasefire, they keep hearing about it. So this is one of the really, I think, the most frustrating aspects of all of this. I mean, you talk to people that have been displaced, and now you have almost 1 million people that have been displaced from this conflict.
The Lebanese information minister said 1.5 million.
That have been affected. I think that means host communities, people that have received people, displaced people, areas that have been very impacted, people that are still remaining behind, that haven't left but are still very, very affected, like the ones that I was talking about in hard-to-reach areas. So yes, I mean, the amount of people is much, much larger, but the actual displacement figures are somewhere around 1 million. No?
So can you tell us about the UN shelters which are established to help the displaced people?
They are the government shelters. These have been provided by the government. And I'm glad you're asking about it because the impact is huge, right? So they're mainly public schools. They're mainly public schools, which means that children who are supposed to be going to those public schools can't access them. They can't go. They're being used as shelters. So it has a huge impact on many children that are not displaced, that would be going to these schools. So this is something that we've been discussing a great deal with the government about how we can manage to find some sort of temporary arrangements for those people that are displaced, at the same time moving them out of the schools so that the classrooms can go back for learning for the children by the time of the next school year. It is, I mean, one hopes. I said, there were 3 big priorities for us. The overall priority, not just for us, but for everyone, is de-escalation. People need things to quiet down. People need space to try to recover, to try to rebuild.
What do you think about the joint declaration issued after the talks between United States and Iran from Switzerland? Because Lebanon is mentioned in that.
Frankly, I have nothing that I can really say specifically about that. And I think all of us are waiting to see and hope for positive impact of the efforts that so many different countries seem to be making at this time to try to bring some return to peace to this area.
And then there is another round of talks taking place in Washington between Lebanon and Israel. Again, UN is missing. Why UN is missing from all these talks?
I'm not going to really get into that. I think you should be talking to a few other persons on that front. But again, the most important thing right now is that the different processes that are there are resulting in a de-escalation, in trying to get, I mean, we all know that there are no humanitarian solutions to this. We are little band-aids here and there trying to help people that are most affected, that are suffering in it. And also we know that there are no military solutions to this. It has to be a political solution. It has to be a negotiated solution. So whatever diplomatic tracks there are, of course, we're hoping that those succeed.
You are serving in this region since long, and you are associated with United Nations, I think 3-4 decades. So you have seen many civil wars, many wars in different countries. So what do you think, what is the ultimate solution for making peace in Lebanon?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at that because, I mean, people have been for decades and decades and decades trying to move towards that. So I'm not going to be that presumptuous that I can come up and tell you what the solution is. I think there is a need for unity around. That is something. And we've seen a lot of division and divisiveness. I think that is something that has to be dealt with. I think you have to go to root causes. You have to deal with root causes of a lot of these problems. And we see that, and I'm not going to go into the details of what I think in terms of this, but I think many of us understand some of the reasons why there has been so much instability in the region. You have to give people also hope for prosperity, hope for peace. And that comes out of making sure that you're dealing with the wounds, the tragedies of the past as well, in terms of reconciliation between different groups in the region.
And when I visited the southern parts of Lebanon, so many people were mentioning Pakistan very positively. Do you think that Pakistan can really play a role to bring peace in Lebanon?
Well, I hope all countries that get the opportunity that I think Pakistan has made and is in right now should be doing exactly what Pakistan is doing right now, trying to mediate, trying to help with bringing peace in very, very difficult circumstances. And unfortunately, we have a multiplication of them around the world. It's not just here, but this one, of course, is in a sense, the what I think many would consider the most long-standing, the most complicated in it. But inshallah, we're moving towards something better.
And my last question, the Israel also targeted the UN peace troops in Lebanon. So, according to the international law, can United Nations take any action against those who targeted the UN peace troops in Lebanon?
I mean, there are lots of different processes and jurisdictions, in a sense, in this. You have that. We are not involved. We are involved in trying to find out what the facts are of anything that happened. And it's tragic, and it is, again, against international law to be hitting peacekeepers in terms of this. But we do not know the complete circumstances of this. There are investigations that are going on, and it is better that you speak a bit with our colleagues at UNIFIL who can speak more about that.
Thank you, Mr. Imran Raza. Thank you very much. So nice of you, sir.